Already, episode 121, another self-indulgent episode of Fine Music. Well, I just have no chance of topping what these two guys did today. I mean, people that they personally know were musicians. Oh, I don't personally know any musicians other than this guy I knew in high school, and he played for his church, guitar for his church. That's about all I would have.
Was it Frank Zappa?
No, no. No, but I will mention something that's almost a continuation of what I did last week. There were two bands with the same name. This is not quite that, but it is funny that this existed. And it's also serious that it existed too, because in this world, especially in the musical world, it's very difficult to get your music into another country, especially America.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's only so much space. And so there's all these foreign bands who are every bit as good as the American bands, and they just didn't get heard, didn't get played. So this one really surprised me when it came up in my YouTube algorithm, which I've exhausted lately, I'm proud to say. But a couple things came through. And one band you might have heard of from the early 70s, it's called Rufus.
Yeah. Shaka
Had a
Khan.
lead singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaka Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some hits. And little did I know there was another band called Rufus, only they spelled it differently. Instead of R-U-F-U-S, it was R-U-P-H-U-S. So I'm sure there's no connection there at all, because they're from Europe. And interesting, though, that their musical path went from around the same time as Rufus, 1972 to 1979. And they started off as a prog band. They did one album, and their leader left. In fact, they had three lead singers on the first album, and they all left. And so they got a new guy for the second album, and that was kind of proggy too, only the songs are shorter. And then they lost him too, and they got a female vocalist, and that changed the band's direction, and they became more like Rufus. Yeah, they were
Rufus
funky and soulful and jazzy. So I'm just gonna show those albums real quick in case anybody's curious about Rufus. They're quite good. I always try to correlate who they sound like, but the three mutations, right? I just mentioned the first album is a lot like, ELP and Yes were the big ones back then in the early 70s. Everybody tried to be like them. And then they got to be more of a jazz fusion band. And then at the end is funky soul, one same band, but different singers changed their sound. So here's, let's see, screen share, that's right. How do I do that? First I bring up what I want to show, and then I go to share it. Ow. Okay, so these are their albums. I downloaded pretty much everything they had. The first album was from 1973. It's called Newborn Day. That is the one that has the three different singers. And it's, if you go to Rate Your Music, have you ever heard of that website? There's a website called Rate Your Music, and you can rate the music, and everybody's collective rating becomes a master rating for the album. So it's on a 5 scale. And so most of the ratings are for 3s. And all of their albums were 3s, like Newborn Day was like 3.45 or something. it was the highest rated of all these albums, but the others were, close behind. The ones that had the lowest rating, the last two albums were 3.29 and 3.19, and deservedly so. Sorry to say. The first one, Newborn Day, 3 lead singers, great dynamic album. The second album is called Ramshart, and that's the one that was on my YouTube algorithm. So that was a really tasty album, but it had the one singer, but definitely proggish. But there were some undercurrents of jazz in there. And little did I know that would become something that would come to the forefront for the band when they got the female lead singer. I have to remember which album came up with the female lead singer. But in the meanwhile, I'll just say the third album was called Let Your Light Shine. And the proggiest thing on there is Brain Boogie. 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes. Then there's this really ethereal instrumental called Nordlies.
Wasn't that a department store?
It sounds like one. 1 minute and 45 seconds of musical bliss. Really nice. They came out with a compilation. I didn't buy the compilation. I bought the individual albums. And it's on the compilation. So was Corner and Second Corner. And those are moving in the jazz direction. So that was their transitional album, I guess. And then what came next? Okay, 77, Inner Voice, which must have been nostalgic for the previous album because there's a live version of Second Corner on there from the previous album. Or maybe it's because it's a CD reissue. Who knows?
Yeah.
And 78, yeah, Flying Colors. Now this one I know, this is the one where it's pretty much soul, funky soul. And there's a nostalgic bonus cut from the previous album, Inner Voice. I guess that's a trend. So yeah, this is it's all right. I mean, some people were complaining on YouTube that her voice was it takes a little getting used to. I could see that, but I got used to it. And the last album, 79, called Man Made. And this one is definitely to the forefront with that jazzy, funky soul sound. But they always had one track on every album that was a long track. Here is Dear Friend at over 10 minutes. And of course, this one's got 3 bonus tracks. Interestingly enough, Fashion Part 2. There's no Fashion Part 1 unless you count Fashion of Today. But if you go to their compilation album, I did buy the second compilation album because it had some bonus cuts. The first one was just, taken from the first 4 albums, whatever. And that was called, named after one of their songs, Colorful something. Colored Dreams, yeah. So it's a 2-disc set. The first disc is called Colored Dreams, What You Expect, Their Best Works. Like from the second album, Easy Lovers, Heavy Moaners, and Pictures of a Day. Fantastic songs. From the first album, Colored Dreams, I believe Trapped in a Game is on there. And Newborn Day, the title cut. From that third album, Inner Voice, Let Your Light Shine, Nordlies, Corner, Second Corner, and Brain Boogie are all on there. From the fourth album, Inner Voice, I'm not sure that's on the compilation, the first disc, but the second disc has the bonus tracks. So I bought it. It's called Flying Colors. And so these are mainly, wait, not Flying Colors, called Hidden Schemes. Get it right, man. Hidden Schemes. So like I was telling you, Corner, Second Corner, Joy, Inner Voice, Echoes of the Time, Intro, and there's Fashion. And then there's these 2 that are not on any album. High as a Kite, which is extremely soulful, probably the best thing she ever sang in the group. And the third one at the very bottom there, the ninth song, I can't pronounce, but it's also the title of a song by Chicago from Chicago 7, maybe. Does anybody know what that is? Biblos? Is that a place?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's on a Chicago album. So here it's
Greek for books.
it is okay. Thank you. That
think
makes a
so.
lot of sense. Bibliophile. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Jim. And so I guess bottom line, it was a very pleasant surprise to find out that there was another Rufus, albeit PH. And they had an interesting career. I think it was probably because they got steered by their label. That happens to a lot of bands. They get steered to a commercial direction by their label. Maybe that's what happened here. They did those first two prog albums and they probably sunk like stones. Couldn't get into the American market. So they tried something else. And I thought, oh, well, I wonder if somebody said, let's try to be like Rufus. I don't know. So I think they're worth discovering. So that's why I shared them today.
Oh.
That's Rufus. I mean, Rufus. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time.